Once upon a time, before Mossad's 911 hit on Larry Silverstein's doubly insured Twin Towers, U.S. citizens were considered equal with the police. In that America, which no longer exists, our constitutional rights as citizens were, at least in principle, protected, honored, and upheld by law enforcement personnel. But those days, my friends, are long gone. With local police SWAT teams, ordinary traffic duty sheriffs dressed in military olive, and cops armed with deadly tasers, the American citizen is clearly viewed as the enemy, a veritable plaything and victim of police arrogance and abuse of power. A typical example of the police state in which we are now entrenched is the May 1st assault by the Department of Homeland Security stormtroopers on peaceful students at Western Illinois University who were enjoying their annual traditional street party.
And then here come riot gear officers from the, it was an Illinois police agency with the Department of Homeland Security out there. Macomb police officers, McDonough County sheriffs, and the Illinois State Police were all out with mace, dogs. They were tear gassing and macing students for no particular reason. I had a friend who was tear gassed outside of her apartment, just sitting.
Students were wantonly wrestled to the ground. Beaten, while trigger-happy cops were spraying poisonous mace in the faces of students, unprovoked and without cause, and with total contempt for the legal and human rights of their fellow citizens. My fellow Americans, let me be quite frank with you. Many would like to lay the blame for our newly arrived police state, formally born on September 11th, 2001, on the Department of Homeland Security's chief and alleged lesbian, Janet Napolitano. Nothing could be further from the truth. She's nothing but a pawn. You see, the Department of Homeland Security is firmly in the hands of two Talmudic Jews, Senator Joseph Lieberman, who heads the Senate Committee for Homeland Security, and his synagogue sidekick, Michael Chertoff, former DHS head, who was awarded a multi-million-dollar contract by Lieberman to install his radiation-spewing porno scanners in airports across America. But the Jewish police state we are now in doesn't stop there. The Zionists have their tentacles in our last bastion of free speech, the internet, as well. Lieberman, who represents the Zionist Jewish quest to gag us all, is the author of legislation known as the Kill Switch Bill that authorizes the president, whom the Zionists control, as they do every branch of our hijacked government, to kill any internet site that Lieberman and friends deem a threat to national security. Now watch Lieberman squirm, twitch, and worm as he's being challenged by a courageous journalist regarding his scheme to take away our First Amendment rights, as they do in China, according to Lieberman.
You have an internet bill. It's been called the Kill Switch bill that would allow the president to seize control or shut down portions of the internet if the U.S. was under some sort of cyber attack. I don't know if you've seen the internet lately. There's a lot of people out there who think that what you are granting the president is absolute power to shut down freedom of speech. I mean, this is just over the top.
No way. This is a matter of national security. We need to protect our country. Right now, China, the government, can disconnect parts of its internet in the case of war. We need to have that here, too.
And under the guise of fighting terrorism at home, we have pending legislation by Zionist Jew Congresswoman Jane Harman. Her bill, the Homegrown Terrorist Prevention Act, essentially a thought crime bill, singles out individuals and groups with extremist views, religious and social, as her bill reads, and as defined by Harman and her fellow Talmudic toadies, once again, as threats to national security.
A House Homeland Security Subcommittee met this morning to discuss violent extremism and homegrown threats. Joining us now, Representative Jane Harman, Democrat of California. Let's talk about some of these extremists.
We're trying to understand how someone who holds extreme views or who even doesn't hold extreme views transitions into a terrorist and where to intervene.
The three of them, Lieberman, Chertoff, Harman, recently teamed up for a Meet the Press interview at which they singled out Christian patriarch groups for engaging in dangerous dissent. Yet another attempt by the Zionists to quash what remains of our right to free speech.
I want to turn to the domestic threat. And there's been a lot of developments about this more recently, including this Christian militia, the Hooter Tree militia in Michigan. How has the nature of that threat escalated in your view?
Well, the threat has definitely escalated, and the level of discourse about our country are so extreme and so incendiary that if you're dealing with people who may not be clicking on all cylinders and may have vulnerabilities personally, there's a danger that they're going to do what this group of militia plan to do this week.
And don't be fooled by Lieberman's and Harman's so-called retirements. Zionist Jews never retire. As we all know by experience, when cats see a dog, they spit and arch their backs. When Zionist Jews see an inconvenient fact, in this case patriotic dissent, against a government that has turned its back on the Constitution, they spit and howl and ratchet up their police state agenda. Those who should be our allies in our legitimate dissent against our Zionist-occupied government, the police, are now deadly pawns in the hands of Zionist Jewry. A few Americans still stand up for our rights, but sadly, lamentably, the majority of the flock continues to keep its head down and goes right on chewing.